When a cat curls softly on your chest at night or fixes its luminous eyes on a corner of the room where nothing visible stirs, have you ever wondered if it is pointing beyond the veil, whispering about the spiritual realm in which your soul currently dwells? For centuries, cultures have regarded the cat as more than a companion animal. It has been revered as a mystic pet, a spiritual bridge between worlds, and a living symbol of the hidden layers of consciousness. According to Edgar Cayce, the so-called sleeping prophet, every soul is drawn after death, not by judgment, but by resonance, like attracts, like vibration, seeks its equal. In that cosmic design, the places we call heaven or purgatory are not physical destinations, but states of frequency. Cats, with their uncanny sensitivity, seem to attune to those frequencies in ways humans often overlook. Think of the gentle rhythm of a cat's purr. Science tells us it vibrates at a frequency known to stimulate healing of bones and tissues, but spiritually, it reflects something far deeper. An echo of the realm of harmony that Cayce described, where vibration itself becomes medicine. When your cat chooses to lie against your heart, it may not be random affection. It may be signaling that your soul is thirsting for the higher resonance of peace and love. In ancient Christian mysticism, Christ spoke of many mansions in the Father's house. Each mansion can be understood as a realm, a vibrational room of consciousness. Cats almost silently walk the thresholds of these rooms, their sudden attentiveness to empty air. Their refusal to enter certain spaces, their insistence on accompanying you to prayer or rest. All can be seen as subtle signs pointing to which mansion you inhabit. Consider a woman named Clara, who shared her story after a near-death experience. In her vision, she stood in a barren place of silence, feeling the ache of separation from all she had loved. Then, in the distance, she saw a white cat she once had as a child. The cat led her across a luminous bridge into a radiant field where warmth and peace returned. When she awoke, she realized that her soul had been given a teaching she had been clinging too tightly to fear and needed to embrace the realm of love. Clara's cat was not just a memory. It was a messenger guiding her through realms. Stories like hers remind us that cats may act as quiet heralds of God's mercy, inviting us to step from one vibration into another. Cayce often emphasized that young souls and old souls move differently through these realms. Young souls, much like kittens, are curious, restless, still bound to material instincts. They linger near the lower rooms of desire and fear. Old souls, seasoned like the wise eyes of an elder cat, recognize interconnectedness and gravitate toward higher planes of wisdom. Observing your cat can become a mirror for this reality. When your cat watches you intently as you wrestle with anger or settles serenely beside you when you pray, it may be revealing whether your consciousness is resonating with a realm of heaviness or of light. The lesson here is gentle but profound. Cats are not only companions of comfort, but living barometers of your spiritual state. If you dismiss their behaviors as random quirks, you may miss sacred cues sent through them by the divine. But if you pause, reflect, and ask what realm their actions might be pointing toward, you may discover that God is already speaking through these small furry prophets. A dream of a cat guiding you, a sudden change in your cat's behavior, or even the steady rhythm of a purr may all be invitations to step into a higher vibration of compassion and peace. The next time your cat chooses to sit silently beside you during a difficult moment, imagine that it is not merely keeping company, but reminding you that the doorway to a new realm stands open. In its stillness lies a divine whisper. You are not bound to fear. You can rise into the mansion of love. As Edgar Cayce taught, no soul is trapped forever. Every soul can ascend. Cats in their enigmatic presence are signposts of that ascent. And so the first glimpse into the meaning of the cat's spiritual message is clear. They are messengers of realms, subtle guardians, who reflect your vibration to you, reminding you that God has placed companions of fur and silence along the way to point you home. But if cats reveal realms through their presence, what happens when they begin to mirror the darker layers of existence, the restless energies, the cravings, the isolation that Cayce described as the lower realms? That is where our journey must turn next. Not all signs that come through our cats are gentle comforts. Sometimes their behavior seems unsettling, even eerie, yet in these moments, they may be showing us something vital about the lower realms of consciousness. Edgar Cayce explained that souls who remain entangled in fear, desire, or self-centeredness naturally resonate with denser vibrations after death. These lower dimensions are not eternal punishments, but classrooms where the soul faces the reflection of its own limitations. Cats, with their heightened sensitivity, often serve as mirrors of these realms in our everyday lives. Think of a cat that suddenly hisses at an empty corner or refuses to sleep near its beloved human when anger fills the home. Such behavior is not random. Spiritually, cats sense when heavy energies cling to a person or space. Their restlessness becomes a warning. The soul's vibration is touching the frequencies of separation and turmoil. Cayce described these states as realms of isolation, craving, or confusion, worlds where the illusion of disconnection from God feels overwhelming. In our earthly lives, cats sometimes act out these warnings, so we can recognize what we have allowed ourselves to carry. A real example comes from a woman named Margaret, who fell into despair after her divorce. Her nights were long haunted by bitterness and regret. During this time, her tabby cat stopped sleeping at the foot of her bed and instead sat upright on the dresser, staring directly at her through the darkness. At first, she was frightened, imagining her cat saw a ghost. But gradually, she realized that her cat was holding vigil, reflecting her inner state. She was dwelling in the realm of grief and isolation. One evening, when she finally broke down and prayed for help, her cat quietly descended, curled beside her, and purred for the first time in months. The shift in her soul's vibration was answered by the soft messenger at her side. This story reveals a sacred lesson. Cats can act as spirit guides, not only by comforting us, but by signaling when we have fallen into lower vibrations. Just as angels appear in Scripture to correct and redirect, so too might a cat's sudden change in behavior be the silent nudge that awakens us. The Christian tradition speaks of purgation fires that cleanse the soul so it may enter God's light. The Buddhist tradition describes realms of craving where beings learn the futility of endless desire. In both cases, these are not places of doom but stages of education. Likewise, when your cat avoids you or seems troubled in your presence, it may be mirroring your participation in such a realm, inviting you to seek release. The symbolism is striking. The lower realms are like shadows cast when we turn away from divine light. Cats with eyes that gleam even in darkness can see into those shadows and remind us that something needs healing. Their strange attentiveness to unseen forces becomes a call to self-reflection. Are we harboring resentment? Are we consumed by greed or fear? Do we believe ourselves to be utterly alone? These are the very states Cayce identified as barriers to higher consciousness. A new perspective opens when we realize that a cat's restless pacing or midnight cries are not mere annoyances but potential signals. They are like bells in the monastery of our daily life, reminding us to examine the soul. Rather than fearing that the cat perceives something evil, we can ask, what is being reflected here about my spiritual condition? This transforms what feels like a disturbance into a divine invitation. The small lesson we take here is one of humility. Cats reveal that the lower realms are not distant after death. They are patterns we can embody here and now. If we see them mirrored, it is not to frighten us, but to awaken us. Just as Margaret's cat held a quiet vigil until she prayed, our cats may be urging us to lift our gaze back to God's presence. And so, when your cat turns away from you in moments of bitterness or watches the empty air with solemn focus, let it be a sacred reminder. The soul may be drifting near a dense vibration, but help is always near. The moment you yearn for truth, the moment you choose forgiveness, you begin to rise. Cats, in their mysterious silence, become guides, showing us where we stand in the spectrum of realms. Yet if cats can signal when we brush against the lower dimensions, they can also accompany us into the luminous mansions of service, wisdom, and love that Cayce described. Their purrs, their quiet companionship, their steady eyes, these are more than comforts, they are invitations into higher realms. In the next part, We will discover how every act of compassion, every moment of prayer shared with your cat can open the doorway to the realms of light where God's love is fully known. If cats sometimes mirror the shadows of the lower realms, they are equally radiant lanterns guiding us upward into realms of light. Edgar Cayce described these higher states of consciousness as dimensions of service, wisdom, harmony, and unity with the divine. They are not distant heavens waiting only after death. They are frequencies that can be touched in daily life, and often it is the quiet companionship of our cats that reminds us of their nearness. When a cat chooses to curl beside you in prayer or purrs while you whisper words of forgiveness, it may be affirming that your soul is already stepping into a higher vibration. Cayce's vision of the higher realms reflects the gospel promise of many mansions prepared by the Father. In these mansions, love is not a fleeting feeling, but the very substance of existence. Cats, with their profound serenity, seem to carry fragments of that substance into our homes. Their stillness is not empty. It is a symbol of the peace that reigns in the higher dimensions. When you notice your cat resting in a shaft of sunlight, eyes half closed, body perfectly at ease, imagine it as a living parable of the realm of harmony where opposites dissolve and the soul abides in balance. Consider the story of Elaine, a widow who had lost her husband unexpectedly. Alone and overwhelmed, she prayed night after night for comfort. One morning, a stray cat appeared at her doorstep, thin but with eyes like burning amber. Against her hesitation, she took it in. Over time, this cat became her faithful companion. On evenings when grief pressed heavily, the cat would leap to her lap, kneading gently as if opening her heart again. Elaine later said she felt as though God himself had sent this small creature as a sign. I realized my husband's death was not the end. Through this cat, I felt the realm of love reaching me. Her testimony echoes Cayce's teaching. Higher realms are not abstract. They break through the veil in small living messengers. How then can we intentionally step with our cats into these realms? The path is simple though, profound. A daily practice can become a ladder of ascent. Silent prayer with your cat. Begin and end the day with a few minutes of stillness, allowing your cat to sit near. Their quiet presence magnifies the silence in which God speaks. Compassion in action. Offer food or shelter to a stray, letting your cat witness the act. Such gestures anchor the realm of service, one of Cayce's highest frequencies. Forgiveness ritual. As you stroke your cat's fur, consciously release resentment towards someone who has wronged you. Let the rhythm of your touch become a prayer of release. Gratitude. Journal with your cat. Nearby, each night, write 3 blessings. Notice how your cat often joins you in this moment, as though affirming the frequency of thankfulness. Sacred silence. Allow your cat to choose where it rests in the room. See this as guidance. The cat instinctively seeks spaces of higher vibration. Follow its wisdom. Each of these steps, though humble, resonates with Cayce's assertion that we elevate our souls through love and service, not through rituals alone. The companionship of cats in these practices reminds us that creation itself longs to join in our ascent. They are like silent choirs, adding their own vibrations of peace to our prayers. The deeper lesson is that cats are not merely companions for comfort, but collaborators in the soul's evolution. They do not preach with words. They reveal with presence. Through their stillness, we glimpse eternity. Through their devotion, we sense God's unfailing love. They whisper that higher realms are not locked away, but available now. Each time we choose compassion over judgment, forgiveness over bitterness, love over fear. And so the next time your cat curls beside you while you pray or stretches in the golden light as if basking in heaven's glow, receive it as a divine invitation. The cat is showing you what Cayce proclaimed: the ultimate destiny of every soul is to return to the source, clothed in light and love. These messengers remind us that we are not alone, that even in our frailty we are guided toward the mansion of peace. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, which realm do you feel your soul resonates with today? Do your cat's eyes reflect your longing for harmony or its presence? Affirm your nearness to light? Let these questions awaken you. And if this message has touched you, if you have seen your own spiritual journey mirrored in the quiet gaze of your cat, then I invite you to join this community of seekers. Like this video, subscribe, and share your story in the comments. Your testimony may be the very sign another soul needs to take its next step into the higher realms of love.